cool thing about my job is like my clients come and they see me a lot. So their progress is always going. I tell people like there's 3 parts of like obedience training when it comes to dogs. We teach, we prove, we maintain. We have to teach it what we will expect of the dog. We have to prove it, being with the dog to it, no matter what's going on. And then we have to maintain it. And that's kind of what I want all my clients to do, because you're always striving to have a better relationship with your dog.
Hey, everybody, and welcome. So I'm Lianne Shinton from Automation Dogs. Welcome to my podcast, where I commonly speak with dog trainers to find out about what they have going on in their area and how they're helping people. And then I also help dog trainers, helping them to capture, nurture, and close more clients that they can help. So today I am interviewing from MCK9 Training in Texas, Cameron Davis. Welcome,
Hello.
Cameron.
How are you?
I'm good. How's the weather over there today in Texas?
It's a cold, cloudy day.
Okay, well, I'm in Kansas and it's not too
It's
bad.
50. I mean,
but yeah,
it's Texas
it's winter.
cold. It's 50 degrees. Some people don't think that's cold, but it's cold to us.
Yeah, I totally get it. So I know that I've known you for a while, and today I wanted to kind of dig in and talk about like how you got started in dog training and what MCK9 is all about. So would you mind just sharing a little bit about you and introduce
Yeah.
yourself?
So, like Lianne said, I'm Cameron. I've been training dogs. It's all started back in high school. I will be old. A lot of my clients are a lot older than me, so they get mad when I say this. I'll be 30 in April this year, which will actually
Yeah, you're a
which will
baby.
mark years of business. Actually, I started right after I got back from Mike Willis' school. But my parents asked me in high school when I was a freshman, what would keep my grades up? And I said a dog. And they were like, what? Why do you want a dog? And I was like, I'm a dog. And they got me a Doberman off Craigslist. I know, but that's where I got one. From then, it's just been dogs ever since. I did an apprenticeship with my mentor, Clay, in high school, going into my senior year. And then after that, I tried college for a little bit. Went to community college, was going to do accounting of all things. And I was like, no, this isn't for me. And luckily I had a very good support system. And my parents like, whatever you want to do, if you want to do the dog thing, do the dog thing. And so I left and did an apprenticeship with Jonathan Katz. And then after that apprenticeship, I went to my fellow school for dog trainers in California. And then in 2016, because that was in January of 2016, I got back from April, May 2016. I started MCK9 Training, which where I'm located is Montgomery, Texas. But it's also Montgomery County. A lot of people think MC stands for Montgomery County. And in fact, it does not. It actually stands for MC, which is my middle name. In high school or just in the school system, it was Cameron MC Davis. I do have a long name. And that's just what I love.
So your middle name
It's
is
Mac Carl, MACK Carl.
Okay.
And so,
Cool. That's
yeah,
a
I'm
cool
named
middle
after
name.
both my grandfathers.
Cool. I like the dog trainer shirt. That lets
Oh,
people
yeah.
know you're a dog trainer so that they can come
It's
up and talk
always
to you.
on. I always have it on. Times where I'm like, okay, I'm going out with family. Okay, I'm not. I may have the business hat on, but I'll try not to put the shirts on now because people will try to stop and talk to me about stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm putting dad hat and husband hat on, not this owner hat on. So I have to catch myself. And what's crazy is that one of the grandfathers I'm named after is my mom's dad. He bred and trained Dobermans after the Korean War. So I kind of got all of that from him and just wanted to be around dogs. Very, very old school with the stuff that they would talk about. He would tell me, but it was very cool to hear his stories of, like during the war, his captain had a Doberman. That's why he came back and started reading them and stuff like that.
So that's I love Dobermans. That's like
I don't have one out
awesome,
of my
smart
6.
dog.
I do not have one. I am actually debating, and as dog trainers, we tell people you got to do what's right by the dog and get the best dog for your lifestyle. And the lifestyle I'm in right now, of course, I can love a Malinois or a Dutch Shepherd, and a Doberman, but I have a about to be a 1-year-old son, a 4-year-old, and then tomorrow an 11-year-old. And having a puppy Malinois and touchy, just with how I have clients and stuff, I'm like, you know what? I think it's time to hang that breed up for a little bit and I will get one later. And so now, believe it or not, I'm looking at Cocker Spaniels and Boykins and completely changing, looking at breeds that I never ever thought I would ever get into. Um, just something more, uh, just as you go into the, for clients to approach me, having something like that
Hmm.
versus walking the street with a Doberman or a Malinois. But something I can still have fun with. That's my big thing. They gotta be able to do stuff I can't. And it
Yeah.
cannot be a daggum terrier.
I think it's something good for people to hear too, that you're really thinking about the right breed for a family and to be around a lot of people. And that's something that I think a lot of folks, they just maybe look at a picture and they're like, well, I want a Tibetan Mastiff. I live in an apartment. And there's so much research that we can do now and talk to someone like Cameron to make sure that we're finding the right breed, hopefully, for that checks all the boxes for whether we're single or we have a family or we want a dog to be athletic with us and go jogging with us. Like there's going to be a better choice and probably a not
I mean,
so
and
good
even like
choice.
thinking of dogs, like trying to convince people, like, hey, the day and age right now, you're gonna spend money on a good puppy, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing, because you know what you're going to get. You
Hmm.
have people that care about their puppies and their dogs that they're going to tell you, hey, you're going to get this from this, from these two. You're going to see this from those two. You'll see this. Uh, versus Billy Bob Joe taking, oh, I got a female dog and a male dog. Let's just see what happens. As a dog trainer, I see that all the time, and so it's one of the things that it's hard because you really don't know what you're going to get. Even yes, because you have a male and a female dog doesn't mean they should always be bred. And then obviously you have the whole rescue stuff that we have to deal with too.
Yeah. And from a health standpoint, too, it sucks when you get a family dog and then you don't know the genetics. And yeah, my perfect angel is from a wonderful Malinois breeder, but a working
From
Malinois
where?
breeder.
Which breeder?
And, that's the right fit for me.
Oh yeah,
Stephanie
yeah. I know
O'Brien from
Stephanie.
Lucin.
I know Alpha. I never met her, but
Yeah.
we're friends on Facebook,
Yeah.
which almost all the dog training communities friends on Facebook. So yeah, I actually like her dogs a lot.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
if I was to get one, it was funny. If I go back to Mouse, which I know I will one day, I would get one from Jonathan Katz on his lines, or it was so weird when I went out to Michael's school because I was only used to like those type of dogs. Like Jonathan had some pretty intense Malinois, and I was just used to them just kind of just always being on, not having an off switch. And I liked how Michael's dogs were like they had the drive to do everything else, but they were also just like pretty naturally chill. Not as like a puppies, but even as some of the younger ones he would pull out, they were not as antsy and stuff like that. They are very tall dogs, though. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of medium to large, not large to massive breeds. That's like to me a good like a going back to Dobermans. I hate the large breed Dobermans you see nowadays. I think a Doberman should be between, as a male, no more than 80 pounds. It's just an athletic breed if we're going off the origin standards.
Yeah, it's interesting as a dog trainer, we become
Well,
very
yeah,
picky
very picky.
about what we're
And
looking
then
for
it's
in a
like,
dog.
I tell people all the time, it's like, we don't have jobs for dogs anymore. Like 50, 60 years ago, you didn't take your dog to dog training. There's a few people that went to like obedience classes, the YMCA, and they did specific things because they wanted to do something cool with their dog. But that was very far and few between. Like dogs just act right because we knew what a dog was back then. We've forgotten what a dog is and what they are capable of. And now we want to treat them as if uh, they're babies. Some say, like Tyler Muda says, that if we don't humanize dogs enough, other trainers say they don't. we humanize dogs too much. But I'm kind of in between. I agree with Tyler on that one. I do other trainers on that. I just tell my clients, I'm like, look, if you want to call yourself fur mom, fur dad, fur parent, whatever, parent is what you should be. I mean, I have 3 kids. Can't be a friend and a parent at the same time. The same thing with dog. The same thing with
Well
dog.
said. Yeah, well said. Well said. Now, just to shift a little bit to something that you mentioned earlier, uh, sound like you've surrounded yourself with the best of the best, and you really appreciate having a strong mentor to help you, grow as a dog trainer and evolve to be the best you can be. Can you share a little bit about how important that is to you? Having a mentor that is incredible, like a Michael
So
Ellis.
it was funny. The first video I ever saw of Michael was in 2009. Well, yeah, 2009, 2010. One of the old Learberg videos. It was just something I always knew I wanted to learn from him. And so I was like, okay, whatever I can, and one day I'll make it out there to go learn from him. I never got into Ivan until later years, and Bart and all the other guys. The biggest thing I tell dog trainers up and coming that if I was to redo this all over again, I would have started at 20. I would not have started my business at 20 years old. There's so many things you're going to walk into that you have no clue you're going to walk into. People are going to BS about a lot of stuff that's going on with their dogs, and you don't know how to filter through that as a
Yeah.
20-year-old. I had put myself in pretty uncomfortable situations because I took a owner's word as well. And so having a mentor that like, hey, you should try this. Hey, that doesn't look too good. You need to do this instead. Even now, I'm always having different mentors, people that I've admired and watched over the years. Like, hey, can I work with you? Can we do coaching calls? Like right now, I'm working with a guy named Katie Matthews, who I've been following for the past 4 or 5 years. So it's more of I'm always wanting to learn and become a better teacher. Something that the-
Mm.
something I've been. I think all dog trainers relate to this. We're really good with the dogs, like per. But that's not the reason the dogs are good with us. If we just had the dogs and the dogs were able to flip a switch and we can make them be better, that's fine. But we're not home. We don't go home with the dogs. We end a session, we go home for the day. We send the dog home after a boarding train. The biggest issue we struggle with is teaching the clients and making sure the clients follow through. And so that's something that I'm trying better. How do I educate? How do I push my clients to become better dog owners? Because sometimes it's the answers are right in front of them. They just can't see it. And so having a mentor there to help guide and to, hey, you should teach this way. Um, by Clay, my other mentor, he was kind of a struggle with me because I met him when I was like 15. So I've known him for a very long time, 15 years. And he never would answer questions. So if you gave him a question, he'd give you like 3 answers. It was always like an open-ended answer. So you would have to filter through the answers. And I'm very quiet when I'm learning. It takes me a few hours to process the information, and I'm very hands-on. So I couldn't just watch a video and learn. I have to be like in it. I have to mess up. You have to tell me I messed up and go from there. I have to watch other people mess up, and I'm going to keep trying until I get it right. I can't, but I also do the same thing from a book. If I'm reading a book, I'll go try it. But if I can't see it, I'll still, in my brain, I think it's right. And so, like I said, having a mentor there to guide you through that is what I think most up and coming dog trainers.
Yeah. I mean, that was quite interesting, everything you just said, because you strongly, like we all should as dog trainers, we have to be a coach for the humans because the dog has to listen to them. They have to be able to do the things that we tell them to do. And you also kind of turned that lens around and pointed at yourself and talked a little bit about how you learn because, yeah, everybody learns differently. And it's important for us dog trainers to be able to be that coach for them, to motivate them and to help them learn.
Yeah.
Now, for MCK9, so people to find you, they would just go to
Yeah.
mck9dogtraining.com. Is that right?
MCK9training.com. I'm on Facebook, on Instagram. on TikTok. I try to do all the social medias that we can. Now I do a lot through Facebook ads. So that can give me a lot of business at the moment. And so yeah, that's pretty much how most people find me. Or the vets around here that I'm cool with.
And then what does that first starting point look like if I have a, puppy and I want to get dog training with you or talk to you? What does that first kind of part of the journey look
So
like?
with my puppy program, typically due to how old the puppy is, if it's under 16 weeks, I'll come to your home and meet the puppy because obviously they need to have shots. And so I'll come meet with you, get a feel of what your goals are. And if you're ready to go, I put you into my puppy guidance program where I'm going to help you for the whole first year of the puppy's life. And so the biggest thing that I see with clients when they have a young dog is there's nothing wrong yet, right? It's blank canvas. They may be having some housebreaking issues. They may be having like the puppy's getting into things, but a lot of people will baby proof, but they won't puppy proof their house. And they're just like, they're forgetting things. All the bad habits are actually starting right then as the puppy's so daggone cute. You want to pick it up all the time. Friends want to come over and play with the puppy. Your kids are all over the puppy. Puppy's running and jumping on the couch, starting to, as every day gets bigger, starting to climb on your leg. It's barking. Oh, it cried the whole night the first time. And then you're like, oh, I couldn't bear. And so you brought it in bed with you. And then 6 months goes by and the dog's starting to become a problem. And so my goal for the puppy program is to help prevent all that and be like, hey, if you stick it out a little bit longer, you're going to start creating boundaries and rules and structure in the house that's going to help so your dog understands what's expected of them. And I'm probably sure every dog trainer say this is we give dogs too much freedom too soon in the house. And so when people think of off leash, think of outside. 99.9% of the problems that you have are in your house. And we have to fix that first before we can go outside. And so there's that. And then
Good point.
we'll do a few sessions. I don't agree with vets, and most dog trainers don't agree with vets when it comes to socialization. Now, just be smart about taking your puppy out to places. Just don't throw them. Don't go to, PetSmart where they have the band filled in there and you walk through a puppy had the max. Don't do that. But you can take your puppy to Tractor Supply, Home Depot. You can take your puppy to a friend's house that has vaccinated dogs. Get your puppy out seeing the world. There's plenty of ways to do it. Put your puppy in a basket with a blanket and walk around. Getting your dog out because they obviously are going through a fear period. And by the time you're vet, it's like, now you can go out. And so I want to help avoid all that.
Mm.
And then as your puppy matures, now we can start really doing obedience. Because the first few weeks, the first 2 months is really just managing the puppy around the house and creating some structure, creating some minor
Yes.
rules. You can't sit there and expect your puppy to do a 50-minute downstay. This is what I'm laughing. This is what people expect for a puppy when they first got them. Because a lot of people, what they'll do is when they get a puppy, if they haven't had one for a long time, or if a dog had just passed away and they got one a few months later, they always go back to the dog before that puppy or the dog they had when they were kid. Oh, it wasn't like this with this dog. It wasn't like that with that dog. And you always got to paint the
Yeah.
picture. I love when I've had, being a father, I can tell people like, look, I got 3 kids. I got 2 daughters and a son. They're complete opposites on each other. My oldest is my most sensitive.
Mhm.
My middle child is a nutcase and she does not care about feelings. And my son, he's 1, so he's about to be 1, so he's, still figuring stuff out. But that dude has no pain tolerance. Like, he literally fell smack dab on the tile floor and just kept on going. And so there's different things that were just what would we expect from a child. It's the same thing kind of with a dog in the same way as it's a different dog. They all have their own wants, needs, and desires.
This is making me think, I literally met someone the other day and she saw like the logo on my shirt with the dog. And she's like, are you a dog trainer? And I'm like, well, I provide services for dog trainers, like a software. And I'm like, what kind of dog do you have? And she's like, how did you know? And I'm like, I can tell when someone wants to ask questions about and tell me about their dog. And it was like a Chihuahua mix. And she's, I think, 3 months old. And she said that she's having housebreaking problems with the puppy. And I asked a few questions and learned that Like right now, while she's at work, the puppy is home alone with full access to the entire house. And I'm
My,
like,
it, yeah,
wow,
my sister
scary.
just got, my niece is a puppy, and of course it's a doodle. I have no issues with doodles. They pay our bills. That's what I say when people ask, "Oh, do you have issues?" Like, no, they pay my bills. I've met some pretty cool ones over the years, so I have no qualms with them. But um, my sister was saying this stuff, and I'm trying to tell her how to start preventing separation anxiety, start creating the house up to a better structure. The puppy, she's doing good. I mentioned having a leash on a puppy. She goes, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Have a leash on a puppy." But why? I was like, because if the puppy does something and grab something, the puppy's going to learn that it can get away from you. We don't want that. She's like, "Oh, I never thought about it." I said, "I know. That's fine, your brother. You're lucky your brother's a dog trainer." Like, I know. So it's just funny when people they just expect the dog to get it really quickly. Don't get me wrong, some dogs are good. I have another puppy in, a Malinois puppy, a 5-month-old Malinois puppy, and oh my gosh, her separation anxiety is like through the roof. They couldn't handle her being in a crate, and we're like, we do still think this caved. Now they
Mm,
got lucky in the fact that they're like, hey, we let her out, she's not having accidents. Okay, cool, but she's still freaking out being alone. So we have to stop that. Like she has to learn it's okay to be by herself. And don't get me wrong, like dogs are gonna freak out. They're like a young dog is gonna throw temper tantrums and be upset about being in the crate. You just have to persevere. And the dog was, okay, this is just life.
yeah.
And we as humans love to put emotion that's not there. We love to, oh, we feel like you feel bad for the dog. The dog doesn't feel bad. The dog, this is just life. Like, okay, I'm in my crate. Like, it's fine. And for a very young dog, they're gonna sleep, even older dogs, they're gonna reserve their energy and sleep 10 to 15 hours a day. And so having them be in a
Yep.
crate now, granted, if you get a young dog and you have to go to work, yeah, you're gonna have to pay the extra money, have a pet sitter come in and let the dog out for an hour while you're in between, or if you ever come home for lunch, like that's doable. But just it's what you do when you get your puppy out of the crate for that time. That's what matters more than a puppy sitting in the crate for 8 hours while you're at work. Now, yeah, when the puppy's 8, 9, 10 weeks old, yes, when you're working on housebreaking and crate training, you're gonna have to have someone come in and let the dog out. But that's just part of the process of having a puppy.
Yeah. And having a plan even before you get the puppy. With this individual too, she shared with me that and this reminded me of what you just said. Like sometimes our expectations, we just
Yeah.
expect it to just go this way. And she had said that she put down those pee pee pads and just left her
Just
home alone with the pee
put
pee
down the
pads
pee-pee pads.
and expected the
Go
puppy
on
to
it.
just
House
housebreak
break. But
herself.
then but the pee pads don't address peeing in the house. They actually teach the
They
dogs to
encourage
pee in the
it.
house. Now, don't get me wrong. You live in the, a high rise in the city. Okay, cool. We can teach your dog to go in the bathtub. That's fine. But yeah, no, I'm not a fan of pee pads.
Yeah.
Never be a fan of pee pads unless living in you're in that type of environment in an apartment style, like that is totally fine. I actually try to convince clients to do like the turf pads on the deck versus peeing in the bathtub. That's my second one. Because then we can just bleach and clean it out and do all that.
Agree. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, when that was crazy when I lived in Chicago and I did my apprenticeship there, you would get dogs out from like the countryside. We lived and we had no grass. There was a little bit of grass where we would do protection work on club days, and that's all the grass that we had. But the other thing was fenced in a parking lot. So we would just leave dogs until for us, they would just go because they were not used to going on concrete. That would take a very long time to teach. And so that's just part of it. And you have sometimes older dogs, if you move and do stuff like that, now granted, they can kind of contextualize things, but sometimes you do have to reteach some things, especially to get an older dog that's never been in the house.
Yeah. Now, could you share a transformation story of someone that you've helped the family with a dog, for example, where it was a tougher one and you saw an amazing
Yeah.
transformation?
Um, and so there I had a few recently. One was a client breakthrough. The dog was a tough dog. She just got confident. The dog obviously wasn't this he was, it was actually an aggressive case. I typically how I manage stuff. We have 12 acres out here. My kids help me a lot, so I'm very particular if I take an aggression case on because I don't like to have those types of dogs. But typically, I take them on, and with this case, he was with me for a while, probably about 8 weeks, and he was fear aggressive. The first day I met him, he's trying to bite me, but he's also peeing at the same time. So he's like, I don't really want to be here, man, but I don't know how to get you away from me. And so I gained his trust, got him a lot more comfortable with me. Training him was the easiest part. Now it was teaching his owner, you have to be able to tell him no and control him under that situation and have a better relationship where he doesn't feel like he needs to blow up at people, blow up at other dogs. And so that was a really cool thing to see her get confident and not get nervous when she held that leash. Because a lot of things when we handle like
Mm.
reactivity issues with dogs or aggression, a lot of it becomes by the handler. Like the handler's teaching the dog accidentally to do these things, right? So when a dog is approaching and you're walking your dog, the first time your dog blows up on a dog, okay, it threw you off. It's cool. Keep going. Dog doesn't do it. Then it does it again. And by page three to create a pattern. So by the third time, you're like, okay, now you're on guard looking for a dog coming by. And you start to tighten up the leash every time you see a dog. But what that's doing is cueing the dog like,
Mhm.
oh, okay, I'll take care of this. And then start reacting. And so there's that. The cool thing about my job is like my clients come and they see me a lot. So their progress is always going. I tell people like there's three parts of like obedience training when it comes to dogs. We teach, we prove, we maintain. We have to teach it what we will expect of the dog. We have to proof it, meaning with the dog to it, no matter what's going on. And then we have to maintain it. And it's kind of what all my clients do because you're always striving to have a better relationship with your dog.
Yeah, and when you're saying you maintain it, it's making me think too, like you mentioned, you do take some more difficult dogs on, and I'm thinking, "Hey, this might not be fixable, but we're gonna manage it. No one will ever realize this dog ever had any issues." But it's kinda like, I guess, a drug addict as an example, is like you have to maintain a certain lifestyle, a certain maintain that training so they don't fall back into those old you
Yeah,
mentioned patterns.
like yesterday, I went out to an eval and the dog had bit their son. He's it was an older kid, and I say older, he's against 20. And the dog was a rescue. He had went in for a hug, or he was being rough with his dad, being goofy. The dog went out, and it's a pit bull mix. She definitely has pit in her, and so they, were super nervous. I mean, like they were shaking before I walked inside the house because they were worried she was going to attack me. And of course, I put my suit on. I'm like, we're just gonna see what she does. The dog's just, I mean, they have they don't put a slip leash on her. Shouldn't bite me though. Like, I didn't see what they saw. And so they obviously calmed back down, but I said, look, like I'm gonna take her on and we're gonna do the training. But when it comes to y'all, like just like I said before, training a dog like that for us is very easy. If we know how to manage our anxiety, our anxiousness, just the nerves when it comes to handling that type of dog. Because if we can control ourselves, it's going to help the dog understand. Okay, I don't need to be nervous in this situation. I don't need to be freaking out. But the dog may not know what you're thinking, but it can't tell how you're. It can feel that you're anxious. It can feel that you're upset. Like
Yeah.
going back to housebreaking, old school way of rubbing a dog's nose in it when they peed. The dog has no clue what you're doing. The dog thinks you're a jerk, right? But that
Yeah.
was the old school way. the dog knows you're mad about something. You come in, your dog had destroyed something, and you're upset. I'm like, I'm just gonna stay away from mom or dad. I know something's wrong, and people go, "Oh, the dog knows they did wrong." I know the dog just knows you're upset, so they're just gonna stay away from
Mm.
you. Your dog can tell that if you're uneasy, if you have an anxious, a fearful, aggressive, reactive, which we all know reactive gets blown out of proportion these days, but we're just going to use it for layman's terms for most people to understand that. The dog is going off of you. So if you are starting to act in a certain way, the dog's seeing this setting, this picture, this person is what's upsetting you. I should be worried too. I should be on guard too. And so that's a big thing is dog trainers like, hey, just learn how to control yourself, learn how to control your emotions around this. Another cool one, this is a puppy one. Uh, this guy really loves working on his dog. Loves. He'll come to class. Dog's 8-month-old blue healer, which I love. I love me a good healer. This guy takes the training to a whole level. We did our puppy program. I did the board training, got her all the foundations working. He's like coming to class. Hey, I taught her this. I taught her this. And then I go back, and it was just funny. He's doing really well, but it's just like little things he needs to work on. Like, hey, you're talking too much to her. He's like, what do you mean? She's kind of like blowing you off on a
Mm.
few things, so you need to like rein it back a little bit. Just give her a cue. She doesn't reinforce it. And he goes, okay, that makes sense. And so like he was trying to teach her like a focused cue. She was saying eyes. But we were in middle of group class and he was saying it so much that she just was like, just being an 8-month-old heel was focused on the setting,
Yeah.
not him. And I was like, she at this time I don't do it. He's like, all right. And so, but it's just cool. I'll be like, because I do let some of the dogs once we're done and they have to ask beforehand. And once everybody's out, I'll let some of the dogs that are cool, so they let to run and just I fence stock all 6 acres, and so they'll run and just kind of romp for a few minutes. And so we were talking about it, and so there was just something to. We always love when the dog trainer or as a dog trainer getting someone in that's kind of like really into training and they love working with their dog. That's always the best part.
Yeah. There was something you said earlier too, more with the dog that had bitten in the family that had bitten the child or, young man. And I think I just wanted to add to that that stuff happens and it's super scary and it sucks. The best thing you can do is get somebody in your corner that can help you. Just like if I have public speaking
Hmm.
fear, I'm gonna get coached on that. I'll go to Toastmasters, but I will take action and surround myself with someone or some people that can help me through that. And I think that is critical. If you have a bite, history with your dog, it's biting you. You
Yeah,
need to get
yeah.
with Cameron
I mean,
because you need someone in your corner that can help
yeah,
you
like
through
don't,
that.
and I have to turn dogs away because I'm just like, yeah, dog training is expensive, and people don't. It's expensive and the investment of it, as I'm going to require a lot of time from you. There's a cost to it. Your dog is a big investment. And so, but if you take the time and you have a puppy, you take the time, most dogs are going to live, most dogs are going to live 12 to 15 years. You take whatever the cost of dog training is and you divide it up to how long your dog's going to live. It comes out to pennies on the dog. But when you're dealing with an aggression case or a very strong reaction case, reactivity case, the having someone there to guide you in the right direction,
Welcome back.
I know what even happened. Sorry.
Do you remember where you were at, where you were kind of at
I
about
was
the
going
dog training
on
being
a
expensive?
tangent. The I mean, I should really say it's an investment. The having someone in your corner to help you with your dog when you're going through that helps. And not even that. What I've also seen is like when people have struggled with dogs and with their dog, and they come to one of my like uh, group classes, walks, legacy support. after they're done with the program and they see the other dogs that are going through the same thing, it helps them. I'm not the
Yeah.
only person going through this with my dog. Like it's not just
Good
me,
point.
right? But a
Yeah.
lot of the issues we still deal with on a daily basis is because a lot of it is the owner's fault in a way. Don't get me wrong. Of course, if you've got a dog from a shelter and they have these issues, by the time the dog gets to us, a simple correction could have stopped a lot of this issues from it getting really worse. And that's something the dog does need as most people aren't aware of how dog trainers have this inner battle between never saying no or not using punishment and punishment. But I will always be a fan of telling a dog no and letting the dog know in their language, hey, this is not the right thing for you. It's how we learn. It's how dogs learn. It's how I teach my children. And so that's something that is a good thing to have for people when they are trying to find a dog trainer.
Yeah, agreed. And it's making me think too of something you brought up at the beginning when you mentioned the word socialization. And, like sometimes you got to tell the kids no. I was thinking you could share on if someone comes up to you and they want to pet your Corso and you're training them, you don't want just people coming up and hugging your dog. Give an example of how you would tell a person in public, no, stop, sorry, he's in training, and maybe speak
Yeah,
on that a little bit as
I always
tips.
tell people when I'm out with dogs, puppy, to the cutest puppy in the world, depending on what I'm working with the dog, I will tell them, hey, we're in training. Now, some might get mad about this, but I typically would just say, hey, that's going to be a service dog. And was, oh, okay, just keep on walking. That's typically my go-to line. Everyone does that. I know other trainers that's like, oh, I'm on the phone and they'll have their headphones in. They'll just kind of
Yeah.
like ear off, right? Just to avoid that situation. But people think that just because the dog's in public, it has to come up to them and say hi. That's just not the case, right? Like it's my dog. It's not your dog. It's my property. It's not your property. I don't go up and say hi to your husband and touch your husband and or touch your wife or come up and touch your kids. That's to be very weird. Right? Be very weird, right? So, but for some reason, it's accessible to do it to dogs. And now, don't get me wrong. There are not the brightest people out there when they just think their dog should be able to go everywhere and they can't even control their dogs. And so that's another issue out there too.
Yeah, yeah, and I thought that could be a good takeaway too for folks listening. Like if you're out walking your dog, it's your dog. Not everybody has to
Hmm.
pet it. And I think those are some good tips. Like, sorry, I'm on the phone, or he's
Yep.
training to be a service
I
dog.
mean,
You
and
can't
then
touch him.
it's yep. I mean, most people are going to ask questions. Oh, she's training to be so dog. Okay, just keep going. Or say, hey, we're just training to avoid these things. I typically don't make eye contact with people. Like I'm just like just going, and I walk pretty fast. So like by that time, and don't get me wrong, if I know the dog's safe, the dog's cool, I may allow it for the correct person. If the dog's behaving, I may allow it. If I have
Yep.
a fierce dog that's overcoming sometimes, I may allow it. So it just depends on the dog what I'm working on. But obviously, if it's an aggression or reactivity case, I'm not going to let anything happen in that situation. And so it's just knowing your dog and knowing what you want out of the dog, having the goals you're going to want. But every time you let a stranger come up to your dog, you're also letting your dog know that you're not the most important thing in the environment. So it's not a good thing. We should work on it.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, having the expectation. So I'm not avoiding letting my dog interact. I'm not trying to avoid any of that. I'm actually come right by me, walk right by me. My dog will completely ignore you.
Because
That's my expectation. That's what I'm going for.
that's what we want. Because a lot of people think the
Yes.
dog should have to say hi to everybody. Not every dog is a Labrador or Golden Retriever that wants to say hi to everybody. People, they just they don't care. They're not gonna be the most outgoing dog. The expectation you have for your dog, like how do you expect your dog to act when someone comes in the door? Do you want your dog to be barking, spinning, actually jumping up, going crazy when someone knocks on that door or when grandma comes in? Or do you want your dog just to be calmly laying at the floor without you having to cue it? What do you want? What do you want? Right. And so uh, it was always funny. I use my parents' example. because they kept from the older Dobermans I had trained until he passed away. And my dad thought it was the funniest thing in the world to let him go chase squirrels. He thought it was fine. They had an invisible fence, so he would run to the border and like get them off the property. He thought it was fine. But oh my God, did he hate it when it was like 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. or 10 p.m. and he would start spinning. He didn't spit carting. He would start spinning and spinning and spinning and start barking. And they would say they would get on to him. They would yell at him to stop, and he just would ignore them. All I had to do was open my door, and he would run to his bed and lay down. That's it. He just run his, and he would stop. And he would let out a big like, oof, like he was upset or like a sigh. He was like, stop. That was it, right? And then it was at feeding time. He would go and wake my dad up at 5 a.m. and just like poke him with his nose to get up. Like, hey, Dad, come on, get to feed me. Now, if my parents were gone and my door was open, he'd open the door and come over. He would try to, and I'd say no, and he would just go lay back down. He would not mess with me. It's a relationship thing too with our dogs. The dog understands, like, who do I have to respect here? Who's gonna be a
Mm.
pushover? Your dog definitely knows that about you.
Yes. Yes, that's funny. Yeah, my dog knows that. I can be a bit of a pushover in some scenarios, but I absolutely love when I walk her every day on the sidewalk. We pass people and, she just walks by proud, carries her toy, and their compliments. And I'm just like, I love her. She's so perfect. It's just seems so simple, but it's such a great expectation to have your dog just ignore everybody. She
Mhm,
can be super
mhm,
friendly, but, like, she'll jump and scratch if I let her, so, yeah. But I love that
mhm.
feeling having just a great dog that I can take anywhere around any distraction, and she just completely it is such a
Yeah.
good feeling. Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to share today?
Do you have any other questions for me?
Well, we did talk a little bit about reactivity, and I know that is kind of a common thing. Maybe if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit, because I think that's kind of a common thing that people, like you mentioned, it literally happens once and you're like, oh, I didn't expect that. 3 more times, boom, you've got a freaking problem. So maybe just a little tidbit on a share on reactivity might be helpful for folks.
So a lot of it too can come down to like, what we back up, and when someone's having issues with that, they may go, I'm only having issues with the dog outside on leash. Okay. Yeah, he's pulling, he's barking at squirrels. And it actually doesn't be for people, it doesn't be dogs. It can be just at the environment, barking at cars and whatever. So then I ask, okay, how's he in the house? They're like, well, he's fine in the house. He's fine in the house. What's going on there? Oh, well, like, sometimes he'll go and jump on the counter. Sometimes he'll get on the couch where he's not supposed to. Sometimes he darts out the door when, it's left open for too long. Okay, so he's had some issues. So we want to go back and fix the things that the dog is having issues with in a controlled environment before I can bring them out and put them into an uncontrollable environment, right? I can't control when I walk off my driveway. I cannot control what's going to happen when a squirrel runs by. I can control the timing of that. I can somewhat sometimes control a dog, depending if we meet at a park, if we, come to my place, have another client come, or if I bring a dog, I can somewhat control the variables, but I still need to help the dog get past this. And so if I can create a better structure for the client in the house and start teaching some fundamentals, get the dog to engage with them a little bit more and get the dog to just simple cues, nothing crazy, and then get the dog to pass. And then depending on the severity of the aggression is going to tell me how are we going to address this, or the aggression with the reactivity. How are we going to change this? Because I've taken dogs and the owner, like, he will react no matter what he sees a dog. And I'll get the dog, I'll be pulling on a leash. That's also a very good correct thing. And then we'll pass the dog, no problem. and I haven't even had to give them a correction or anything or stop this behavior. What happens is most people want to correct the dog when the dog gets to red. Like when the dog's already in that state of mind, the goal is to correct beforehand. Hard stare, the dog goes like this, his dog, and their eyes go wide. They start to dip their head back down. Their hair starts to stand up a little bit. Their ear goes to where the dog is, or the person or thing they want to react to. Catching that and catching that thought, like, that's not what we're doing right now. We're like, I'll do that. Oh, okay, cool. Keep going. Like, it can be super simple as that
Yeah.
and keep going. Some coaching you have to redirect them to prevent it from happening. I am at some stages of where I'm at with the client. I mean, hey, you may have to just be cautious because you're not ready to do that yet with the dog. So like if you're going to go for a walk, your dog needs a walk, or you want to go walk your dog. When you come to a bend that you cannot see around, you need to go wide. So you're not coming up on a dog. You need to go somewhere where it's just open and you can walk the dog versus walking in a neighborhood right now. Just not kind of putting a band-aid on so we can fully address it. So I have to see what's going on with the dog. Because that's also the issue part of taking on doing a border train, for example. If I have a 120-pound dog, but the client's 90 pounds, I have to be sure that they can get the same, tell the dog no when they need to, and the dog understands it clear than as I just did it, right? And so having different tools and techniques and protocols are going to help the client. The Like when I'm training a lot, I'll use a regular collar or a slip leash. I love slip leashes now. I more use of those than I do use e-collars, right? But being able to teach a client to give a dog a subtle tap, okay, get them to focus back helps so much. And even sometimes using a prong collar, having that tactile response, okay, no, you don't need to do that, helps so much.
Yeah,
For
especially
being, yeah, you're having a large
100.
dog. I mean,
Yeah.
even have a 67-pound dog, it's still when they're going full force, and the client is still an older person, or uh, the dog still needs to know, okay, that is not acceptable, no matter who has the leash. It
Yeah,
can
I like
sometimes
what
be
you
a little
said.
tricky on the part.
I like what you said too about like really analyzing the other things that might be going on that maybe the client, the dog owner doesn't even realize these things could be fixed. Like, he's been getting in
Yeah.
the trash, or I let him in the backyard and he won't come in and he's getting zoomies and I can't get him back. And like, oh, you could
Mhm.
fix that too. That'd be great. Plus, it's also helping because it's connected to the behavior of the
Well, yeah.
reactivity that you're seeing.
Well, a dog is trying to answer two questions all day. There's two questions they're trying to answer for themselves all day. Do you know what they are, Leanne?
I'm going to
You
say
probably never
no
thought of it
so
like
that
this.
you'll.
So they are trying to get what they want, and how do they avoid discomfort? That is all they're trying
Yeah.
to answer all day.
Yeah.
Those two
Yeah.
things.
Awesome.
It's super
Yeah.
simple. When I was taught that, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So like,
Say that again so the people in the back hear it. Flirty, you have to listen to
so
this too because she already knows that.
so like all they're trying to answer is how do I get what I want? Now that is training us. Dogs are really good at training people, their owners, to get what they want. And how do I avoid discomfort? So your dog jumping on you to get affection is getting something they want. Your dog coming over to you and like nuzzling you is getting something they want. Your dog whining at you in the crate, they don't want to be in the crate. That's avoiding discomfort. So like they're trying these things to get what they don't want and what they do want. And so when you let them go to the door and scratch it, you just said, hey, this is okay, to let them go outside. When your dog jumps on you, when it wants affection, you just said, hey, it's okay. Eh, this is allowed. So when we go outside, there's like, hey, there's no rules in the house. There's no rules inside. So there's no rules outside. There's no rules inside. So the dog is trying to, why can't I do this? Why can't I do that?
Makes total sense. Well said. I'm sure people are thinking right now. I know I am. Flirty's kind of spoiled. All right. So just some fun questions, kind of lightning round. If you were a breed of dog, what breed do you think you would be?
Hardcore Doberman is good. Or lab.
You love those
I don't know.
Dobermans, huh?
I do love those Dobermans, but I haven't, I don't, no one I'm ever going to get one again, but my wife really likes them. But I was just like, I don't know. Yeah, Doberman would be cool. Roddy, any of those type of breeds.
Yeah, rot. I always like a female dobe or female rot. That would be a
Hmm.
dream. But the dobes and cancer, it sucks. So
Yeah, I actually got a client one from a really well-respected breeder, who I would probably get one from down the line. Just that was my biggest thing with them is I was watching the breed for such a long time, and I was following some of the dogs that I really liked their careers through, just like dying at 4, dying at 5. And I was like, what the heck? So I was like, okay, I just like they were turning into like Great Danes. They were not making it to 10. And I love a
yeah,
big Great Dane. And it's funny, as we got some property, we were debating on if we were going to get like a farm dog. And by God, I will never own. I would say I won't say I will never own. I will never train for a client a livestock guardian dog ever again. I just had a great Pyrenees come through, which is probably another a good story. Client, she was terrified of this dog. I mean, terrified of him. It was a 4-year-old Great Pyrenees. The dog just needed to be told to no, but all he wanted to do was just sleep outside with the goats and sheep. Like she had property,
yeah,
she gave him a job. That's totally fine. I'm like, he's not allowed. He's going to bark at the Amazon people when they come. He's going to bark at people he doesn't see on a regular basis. He needs to knock it off when you tell him to. There's a definite
mhm,
respect thing. Because I mean, I had a dog for 6 weeks. She's like, he like did go after her for like grooming because it would be painful because like she never brought him to a groomer. And so it got really mad at one time. And so he did like bite her because he was in pain. I took like, because after a few weeks with him being here with me, it took him a long time to like, it took him like a week and a half to like, okay, cool, cool with you. He would do this subtle, like low see you. That's it. Just very low. Was not like a lab that go. It's just very like, hey, I'm cool.
yeah,
And so he'd come up and said, and I would just sit there and I would just brush him, grab, poke, pull. Now a growl, he'd just lay down and just look at me. I had the same thing with the giant schnauzer a year ago. They like couldn't touch him. He'd get mouthy. And I just like would hold his face and just pull on his beard. Like, I'm gonna be rough as if something going wrong. What are you gonna do? And so just going back and showing clients like, hey, like, no, you can't do that. Sorry about the whole tangent, but yeah, no, definitely Doberman. I think, yeah, it's definitely a dog. A Doberman or a Rottweiler would be cool if I was don't believe in reincarnation. But if I was ever to be reincarnated, that would be it.
all right. Favorite type of music?
I listen to country,
Okay,
listen
I
to
thought you'd
Christian
say
music
that.
a lot. Yeah, I don't really listen to like clients will say bands of like rock and roll. I'm like, who are you talking about? They're like, what? I was like, I'm sorry. I was raised in the Baptist church, so I don't really like listen. But my brother had like a mic. My brother was like really into rap, and so he had like Mike Jones all over his wall, like all that stuff. So like I remember that type of music. Uh, but yeah, mainly country and like Christian
I
stuff I
figured you'd
listen
say
to.
country because what you're near Houston, right?
Yeah,
Texas.
about 45. We're about an hour from Houston, about
Okay,
northwest.
okay, Montgomery.
Yeah, yeah.
And the last lightning round question: favorite food?
Tex-Mex.
Okay.
Like you can't. We went to New York for the holiday Christmas, and we got back, and my wife's like, "Where are we gonna go?" I was like, "I need food." I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I need gringos, I need papacitos," which is two big uh Tex-Mex chains. She's like, "We've been gone for a week," and I was like, "I know. We normally go 3 times a week. What do you expect of me? Like we were gone for a whole like." Yeah, it feels like ages not being there. Yeah, I know. Tex-Mex, I love cooking a good steak. I'm really into like 2 dishes that I make, and that's steak and that's chili. And I'm actually really good at making chicken. My wife gets nervous when she's cooking, meaning she kind of does cook her chicken a little bit. I don't get scared. I don't get scared. So it's like really like she's like, you make it always. I was like, I just don't get scared. Like I just flip it. I know when it's done. I know the temperature. I take it off. Like it's not that. She's like, I just don't want to get sick. Like we're not gonna get sick. It's fine.
Yeah, I've dealt with enough raw dog food chicken that I've been lucky enough not to catch salmonella by now. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you definitely fit into that kind of Texan kind of box.
Hmm.
So you
Yeah.
answered exactly the things I thought you would. That's fun.
Yeah.
Awesome, Cameron. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And hopefully, someone listening locally will reach out if they're having any issues with their dog or they're thinking of getting a puppy or have a puppy. But thank you so much for joining me.
No problem. I loved it.
Awesome. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Again, Cameron Davis from MCK9 Training and website mck9training.com, right?
And it's
Got it.
MCK9 Training, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you again. I'm Lianne Shinton from Automation Dogs, and I appreciate everybody listening. If you want to hear more conversations like this, please hit subscribe.